Hello everyone, and welcome to this video presentation of Overcoming Fortress Occupation Interrupts. In the country of Champagne, you will find the Fortress of Ypernay. Capturing this mighty fortress is a high alliance priority, and preparations have been made for weeks to occupy it. The first attacks on the fortress were already made earlier in the day, and the loyalty of the fortress is currently 0. Two members of the alliance are working in tandem to provide support in cases of emergency. This is an example of just why it is beneficial to work closely with other members of your alliance. Backup is required here because opposing alliance members have set interrupting occupies on the fortress to disrupt the flow of attacks that were being cycled to keep the troop counts down while waiting for loyalty to drop. This method of cycling units is used so that the fortifications and troops will not be able to respawn, and this helps keep casualties to a minimum. But if an occupy is lost, there's a massive regeneration of troops and fortifications. This will cause the cycle to be broken, and the units that were being used before to bring down the city walls will no longer be sufficient to win after the enemy interrupts the cycle. This could cause a second failure, and things can quickly spiral out of control. To combat this devilish tactic, we have an army on standby that is capable of clearing the entire fortress from scratch. Since all the fortifications and the troops have regenerated, we've scheduled 4 different attacks to land within minutes of each other so that they have minimal chance to be disrupted. The first occupy is being carried out by a member who will own the fortress and clear all of the melee troops that will fight outside the fortress walls. We are viewing the second and third attacks, the first of which will be a pillage to clear all the ranged troops, and the third occupation attack will kill off the wall towers and clear any enemy siege engines. The player that spent all the time cycling the troops on the fortress will be at last rewarded with the fortress with the final occupation. Before we see the battles though, we would like to show you the famous military officers that are being used in this attack. When these officers were acquired, they were relatively weak as far as FMOs are concerned. But with the right items and some persistence in getting them leveled, you can end up with an officer that has a very high combat power and command, which helps tremendously in the fortress battles. Before we go into the battles, I just wanted to show you the officers and some of the items that I've acquired from the game, and comment that the officer and item system in NapWar is outstanding. There are over 1,000 different officer items that can be acquired, giving you amazing attribute customization abilities. Okay, so on to the battle. We have sent mainly howitzers and musketeers in the first pillage attack, as they will be most effective against the ranged units that remain on the battlefield. We have also brought blocking troops to act as protection against any melee units that have respawned. The first round we will attack any cavalry with our ranged units, and then focus on enemy howitzers and musketeers. Lastly, we'll kill off the remaining token cannon force, and then finish off any ground units that might be lingering around. It is of interest to note here that we haven't sent any cannon of our own. Usually cannons are best saved for larger fights on numbers of enemy cannon. This way they pack more of a punch. You will also want to make sure that when there are large enemy numbers of howitzers, that you allow your howitzers to keep moving forward so that they can get a volley off before the enemy. Getting the first strike against a large number of enemy howitzers will save you a great deal of frustration in fortress battles. In this example, not a single howitzer was lost to the enemy. So now that we have all the ranged units defeated, we can command the occupation. You will notice here that we have set our howitzers to move forward before the musketeers. This will cut down on the musketeer casualties, as they won't have to spend as much time in the line of fire of the wall towers. You will also notice that we have brought 10,000 scouts and 1,000 dragoons. These will be used in a neat little tactic to clear fortifications and reduce the number of siege engines that are lost while slowly making their way to the walls. Don't move your scouts in too soon though, or they'll be killed off before they can serve their purpose in killing off the abatis. Once the wall towers are defeated, our ranged units can be directed to the enemy siege engines. Once they are taken care of, we will move the ranged troops away from the fortifications so they aren't eaten up as trap fodder. Also, keep in mind that if you send a large number of siege engines, it will only take you 1 round to bring down the city walls, and that will keep your casualties low. And now we'll take a look at the battle reports. Our biggest losses came from the wall fortifications, but now that we've cleared the way for the occupation of the fortress, which occurred just a short time later, everything is ready to go. This would have been a failed attempt, but due to the careful planning and coordination between alliance members, the enemy sabotage was only a speed bump on the path to eventual success. Thank you for your attention, and we hope that you have enjoyed this video. You can find more of our NapWar tactics and strategies at www.thegamersacademy.com.